What's happening? What's happening? What's up? We'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Gangsta Chronicles podcast. I am Big Steel with my guy.
Yeah.
Man, tonight, man, we have another legendary figure up in here, man, from the city of San Diego, man. Hit the scene big, man, with Triggeration Station, and it seemed like he's been on a mission since then. Mitchy Slick. Mitchy, what's happening with you, baby?
What's up, big homie? How you doing?
Man, chillin', man. Glad you can come down here, man. Especially in the rain, man. You don't have like a 2-hour trek, man, down here, man, from San Diego, man.
Come see y'all, homie. That ain't nothing, homie.
Yeah, it's raining like a motherfucker outside.
For sure, we appreciate you, man.
The big homie said pull up. I'm pulling up, homie. Straight up.
I'm right. I'm about 50 miles from where you down there.
Oh, that right?
Yeah, that's a ride.
Yeah, ain't right by you, dog. Y'all neighbors.
Y'all be saying that shit, but that's far. That's a far
As
way.
far as a mother.
That's far as a mother. Hey, man, so you've, man, in hip-hop, man, hip-hop is one of those careers, man, to where it's almost like the NFL. It's like the average lifespan, man, the average career of a rapper, man, is something like 1.5, 2 years, something like that now, man. And you've managed to be getting busy since when? Since the 90s, right?
I put my first album out in like 2001, 2.
2002, Triggeration Station. You said you put that out with the homies, right?
Strictly independent, homie. I'm talking about straight. The brown paper bag was my my label. Straight up. Yeah, it was just us.
As a lot of people was back then, a lot of brothers got together, man, with, street money, man, street currency, and put their labels together, the distribution. We was talking about Ward Up at City Hall, Bayside, and all them names.
All that, them days, homie, them days.
Yeah, if you had a little bit of paper, you could really get something cracking, man. You hit, I think, you hit the top 20 on Billboard with that album too, didn't you?
Independent, yeah.
Yeah, independent charts, like number 13, something like that.
Yeah.
13th album in this country. I just bet that was a nice ass
We just cooked it
catch.
up ourselves, homie. We cooked it up ourselves, promoted it ourselves, didn't know what the we was doing. Just had a team of homies that was excited about actually being able to have a chance to be in the game after watching a lot of homies in surround, especially the LA homies, Compton homies do their thing. That was like, for the homies, that was like brand new shit. So we didn't know what we was doing, but we was happy about doing it. And we pretty much just word of mouth the project, you know?
Yeah, and sometimes that's the best strategy, bro. That's the best strategy. Don't nothing beat the streets.
Yeah, you had a word of mouth was real official back in the days, I guess, trying to be an artist, coming from the neighborhoods and whatever, we saw all the accolades of being on, the LL Cool J's and the Run DMCs being on labels. So a lot of motherfuckers thought that was the way to go, but a lot of motherfuckers was independent, coming up. If you look at LA, hip hop, a lot of the forefathers, started off independently. The Toddy T's, the Wrecking Crews, Easy started off.
We don't know that history, homie, but we'd love to know it, though. That's crazy.
Yeah. A lot of LA artists started off like independent.
Yeah, y'all was on Compton's Most Wanted was on the independent.
We was on
label.
Techno Hop. King T, Ice-T was on Techno Hop. Lonzo had Crew Cut, which was the Wrecking Crew, which was Dre and them, Easy had Ruthless. We was kind of born and bred on independency coming up in the early 80s and shit as far as hip hop concerned. Because labels wasn't with.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Shit, especially when it came to our side. You know what I'm saying?
West side, yeah, that.
They, like I said, it was the Run DMCs, the Houdinis, the shit like that. So, but when it came to West Coast music, it was kind of venturing into another side for them. So they was terrified of niggas like us, especially grabbing the microphone. you know, watching movies like Colors and shit, compared to like the Warriors and shit. You compare the Warriors to Colors and shit, it was a whole different
stabbing and shooting.
Yeah.
That's the difference between stabbings and shootings and slaughters.
The Warriors was like some cartoon shit. They had niggas out there on skates and all kind of shit.
What the fuck is these niggas do? So it kind of terrified record labels from with niggas like us until it just started being too lucrative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they had to. And you know, you had two things, bro. You was from San Diego, and I think at that time the only person that people had heard of had some notoriety was Jail, right? And at that time, it wasn't that many Bloods in the business.
It wasn't no Bloods.
It wasn't no Bloods. You know, you had
a few
DJ
homies
Quick
around, but when I first started coming to LA, man, you gotta, man, look, hey, listen, man.
Yeah.
And you was at the time when people was really banging.
Listen on me. I'm gonna tell you one experience, and I don't know if being from Compton to LA, y'all really can understand what this is like, homie. But imagine, I gotta explain imagine in LA, if a gang like East Coast of the 60s was Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how deep that is in the landscape of, even though it ain't as many niggas to scale, that's kind of how San Diego was. That don't mean that you don't worry about Bloods in LA just because the Crips is deep, or you don't worry about, you know, it ain't that it was so few Crips that, nah, nigga, Crips was active as a motherfucker in San Diego. You ain't safe, nigga, out here too much, but just to be coming from a city like that, and then my first LA trip to LA, the first day I went out to LA to get out and do my shit with Jinx, this nigga take me to that summer jam where the niggas went.
That was your first experience?
That was my first day in LA.
For those
with
that
the first day I went around LA niggas was at that summer jam.
And that's
nigga,
when
I never
crazy.
seen.
Is that when they snatched Biggie and them off stage?
No, nigga, that's when it was about 500 Crips, nigga, in one pack, nigga, moving around, nigga.
Yeah, you talking about the,
and they got it, and the FOI had to stand off with them, and they got on the Damu homies, and they ran up on stage, and LL was on stage, and nigga, that's the first day I went to LA. I was like, all right, homie, we gotta recalculate how we move in LA, and I started learning how to move in LA, cause at that time, homie, every rap circle, it was basically that hood. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it wasn't like I mean, you had Death Row or whatever, you know what I'm saying, where it was different niggas, but for the most part, if you rap with 8 and them, you in Compton with the Crips. If you rap with Mac 10, you in Inglewood with the Bloods. If you rap with Quick, you would
in Compton with the treetop.
So to be a San Diego nigga and just come to LA, where I'm you know, and so the niggas that kind of opened up their arms to me, homie, was niggas that wasn't really gang members,
right?
Artists. So that'd be like the Alcoholics.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You always had
the Alcoholics. That's how I met Crime and Phil and all them from being in the arena of niggas that was just about rapping. You know what I mean?
That's what I was gonna say. You had a lot of love. As crazy as it is, you was a gangster rapper, but you had a lot of love from the underground cats.
That's from that. That's from me.
Yeah, because at that time, Xzibit, I think people seem to forget that Xzibit had a whole career before he was with Dre.
Right.
You know, because King T had put him on, and they was just the homies. They was just the rapping niggas. You know what I mean? There wasn't really no gang. You know, the Alcoholics.
They was the crew. They was the crew. Yeah, definitely.
You didn't look at them as gangbangers like that, but when you saw like CMW, you knew them some Crips.
Straight up.
You know what I'm saying? When you saw Quick in them, you knew them the Pyru homies. And when you saw, you know, whoever else, you knew where they was from. You know the Snoop and them. Snoop was from 20s and Long Beach. You pretty much knew everybody's gang affiliation. But them was the cats, Raz Kaz and Xzibit and all them.
Saphir,
them was like
barbershop MCs.
I like to call them the what was my boy swaying, the Wake Up Show cats.
Hey, listen, homie, one of my first trips to LA, these niggas take me to the Wake Up Show. Hey, they got me on the Wake Up Show busting. I don't even know who these niggas is. I'm just thinking we rapping this shit. Nigga, I'm on the Wake Up Show.
But the Wake
and
Up
it's
Show
documented
like
me,
that.
Mr. Fab. I was so green to the shit, but that's the only place I could get in at the time.
And you had to have some bars up there for Sway and Tech, because they had your ass up there rapping
show.
forever.
Didn't even know it, homie. Just thought I was rapping. Just okay, this is what I got to do.
That's the beauty of like you said, when you're able to come into the shit without the gang affiliation and niggas just trying to hear you on some rap shit. Yeah. I mean, cause I was on just hip hop shit.
Oh,
you get me?
I know.
I wasn't trying to be associated as far as my music was concerned.
First songs was hip hopped out.
Yeah, I was hip hop, man.
At that time,
the vocabulary that you was using was even hip hop vocabulary.
I just because nigga was already doing the hood shit, and like I said, a lot of my heroes was from the East Coast. You get me? I grew up listening to LL and Kool Moe Dee and those dudes. And so when you're able to listen to them just focus on hip hop, it was able to keep me away from the gang affiliation in my music. You get me? That part was just because a nigga was banging already. You get me? Nigga, it wasn't about trying to image. Nigga, khakis was cheap. You get me?
Right up.
T-shirts was cheap. Fucking Cortez was cheap. So
niggas
that was our apparel. You get me? And especially when you ain't got moms or dad buying your clothes and you already walking around 14, 15 affiliated. Nigga, I don't give a about rapping or nothing, nigga. The attire is finna be a sweatshirt, khakis, and motherfucking Cortez.
And I would say at that time, 2-8, wasn't nobody really, because gang banging was so serious at that time, everybody knew we could really kick off, so you didn't really hear people talking about their neighborhoods on records like that.
You never know where a nigga was even from.
Yeah, I didn't want to do I didn't want to do color shit on the records because I wanted to talk about every nigga that was gang banging, right? I didn't just go F that. I'm just gonna focus on the Crip niggas. I knew Blood Homies was banging my too, so I didn't want to alienate them by going, man, all this nigga talking about is Crip this, Crip that, Crip that, Crip that. So we didn't do that. We just was like, in the neighborhood, this would go down. In the neighborhood, this would go down. I know in my neighborhood it go down, so it got to go down in your neighborhood. So we as Compton's Most Wanted never focused on like, we was like, nigga, we already there with that. So we trying to capture some of that worldwide shit right now. And you can't alienate. I learned that shit, man. You can't just alienate motherfuckers because everybody was coming to the shows. Nigga, I go out in the audience, nigga, it was Crips, it was Bloods, it was Mexicans, it was everything.
It was from everybody.
So
and y'all had a blood homie in the
Mike T was a blood. He was from Inglewood.
Never knew that,
yeah,
homie.
Mike T was from Inglewood.
Learning some stuff today, dog.
I already knew. That's what I came for.
Yeah, Mike T was from Inglewood.
Check it out. But what me up is I know we gonna get to this part of the shit, but when we do, we gonna have to come back to hear him say everything that he said. And for that to be so much my understanding of how I was gonna make music, you'll understand why that's so important to me later on that he said this, you know what I'm saying, in a minute. But like that's the same approach I had, homie. This is what I just say. I want niggas to be able to bump my shit at a Crip picnic.
Exactly.
Cause if you saying certain shit, they're not gonna play your shit.
No, they not. They not gonna do it.
I didn't say Blood one time on Triggeration Station, my nigga. Not one time. On the whole album.
On the whole album, it was just a dope album.
I didn't say Blood one time.